Okay, I'm going to start playing around with this chain a little bit and talking a little bit about a word that usually I don't jump into it so quickly, but I'm going to have to here, and that's the word process. What is a process? 5 seconds. Nobody wants to answer? Okay, a process is anything we do to transform something. Easy, right? And processes have different steps. You do one thing, then you do something else, then you do something else. A chain is a very good representation of that. You have links, and these links are one after the other, which is the word we use is we call them sequential. Steps in a process are sequential. One has to happen before the next one happens. So if that's step 3 cannot do its work until step 2 finishes its work. Step 2 can't do its work until step 1 does its work, and so on. Okay? So that is called dependency. One step depends on what the other step does. What's the thing that could create a negative situation when we have dependency? What if I have a very good person here if these steps are done by people and this one isn't? What's going to happen to this very good person? She's not going to be able to do her work, right? Because she is depending on the work that somebody else is doing. That's the bad thing about dependency, because dependency means that whatever is going through here is being transferred from one to the other. So the whole process does not depend on what happens at one step. Right? Now, what else? One of these links is smaller than the others. Maybe back there you can't really see it, but that link I'm holding right there is smaller than the others. The real numbers are, these are 2,000-pound links. This one is 800 pounds. So if I could hang this chain from a very strong hook and start putting weight here, what's going to happen one day if I continue to add weight? It's going to break. Where is it going to break? Right here. If this is 800 pounds, maybe we can say that at 801 pounds, this chain is going to break. Now, where is it going to break? Right here. So if that's true, what is the capacity of that chain? 800 pounds. So somebody comes along, if this is a process, and builds a very strong, big, huge 3,600-pound step. How much did that better the process? 0. What you just saw happens every day in companies. Okay? Very simple to understand here, yet companies out there build these huge projects which are based on processes, and they're very pretty on paper, and then they go out to execute them, and it doesn't happen. Because people assume that the sum of the capacities is the sum of the process. And you just saw that that's not true. There's only one place where I can make this process better. Any energy, any resources that I put anywhere in this process except here are wasted. Clear? Anybody doubt it? If I make this link 10 pounds better by spending very little energy, time, resources, I made my whole process 10 pounds better. If I spend any money anywhere else, I'm wasting it. Because that link can only process what it can. That's what we call the constraint. Okay, that's the constraint of the process, and that is what determines the capacity of the whole process. Now, by definition, the constraint is always working at capacity. I'm going to let that sink in a little bit. The constraint is always working at capacity, because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be the constraint. Right? If I could work more, then I could still produce more there, so maybe that wouldn't be the constraint. Now, why is that so critical? If this step of the process is working at capacity, That means that if it stops for any reason, I cannot recuperate what I lost. Never. It's gone forever. Does everybody get that? Okay? Why? Because it's working at capacity. I cannot come here and say, hey, last month we didn't do 20, so this month I want you to do 20 more. I can't. It's working at capacity. So, the tremendous importance of that is that anything that goes through the constraint in the process, I never want to lose it. Whatever this process is transforming. In our case today, we're talking about this applied to selling. So, we have opportunities in sales that are flowing through a sales process. Any opportunity that goes through the constraint of your sales process, you do not want to lose it. Because if you do, you can never get it back. That's the tremendous other importance of the constraint. So the two main points then are, number one, that constraint is what tells me what the capacity is of my process. Number two, whatever I lose, once it goes through that step of the process, I can never get it back. So I want that step to always be working. I want that step to be the step that every single other activity in the whole process is at the service of that step. This is my most precious step. Constraint is a negative word, right? When you think of a constraint, it's something that stops you. You don't like it. Well, in a process, the constraint becomes your best friend. Why? Because that is the step that's determining your capacity. You want to take care of it like gold. You never want it to stop. You want everything there to be perfect. Which means that everybody here is dedicated to this step. Everybody is at the service of this step.